Joseph remained in prison, faithfully serving even in chains. Sometime later, Pharaoh became angry with two of his officials, the chief cupbearer and the chief baker, and put them in the same prison where Joseph was kept. The captain of the guard assigned Joseph to take care of them. One night, both men had dreams. When Joseph came to them the next morning, he saw they looked troubled. He asked, "Why do you look so sad today?" They answered, "We both had dreams, but there is no one to interpret them." Joseph replied, "Only God can tell the meaning of dreams." The cupbearer described his dream about a vine with 3 branches that produced grapes, which he squeezed into Pharaoh's cup. Joseph said, "The 3 branches are 3 days. Within 3 days, Pharaoh will restore you to your position." Then Joseph added, "When all goes well with you, remember me and mention me to Pharaoh. Get me out of this prison, for I have done nothing wrong." The baker then shared his dream about 3 baskets of bread on his head, with birds eating from the top basket. Joseph answered, "The 3 baskets are 3 days. Within 3 days, Pharaoh will lift off your head and hang your body on a pole." 3 days later, on Pharaoh's birthday, everything happened exactly as Joseph had said. The cupbearer was restored to his position, but the baker was killed. Yet the cupbearer forgot Joseph, and he remained in prison for 2 more years. Then Pharaoh had 2 troubling dreams. In the first, 7 fat cows came up from the Nile, followed by 7 thin cows that ate the fat ones. In the second dream, 7 healthy heads of grain were swallowed by 7 thin heads of grain. No one in Egypt could interpret these dreams. Finally, the cupbearer remembered Joseph and told Pharaoh about him. After he shaved and changed his clothes, Joseph came before Pharaoh. Pharaoh said, "I had dreams and no one can interpret them, but I heard you can interpret dreams." Joseph answered humbly, "I cannot do it, but God will give Pharaoh the answer." After hearing both dreams, Joseph said, "God has revealed to Pharaoh what he is about to do. The 7 good cows and 7 good heads of grain represent 7 years of great abundance in Egypt. The 7 thin cows and 7 thin heads of grain represent 7 years of terrible famine that will follow. God has shown this to Pharaoh in 2 dreams because the matter is firmly decided and will happen soon." Joseph then gave Pharaoh wise counsel. "Let Pharaoh appoint a wise man to be in charge of Egypt. During the 7 years of abundance, collect 1/5 of all the harvest and store it in the cities. This food will be a reserve for the 7 years of famine, so that Egypt will not be destroyed." The plan seemed excellent to Pharaoh and all his officials. Pharaoh said, "Can we find anyone like this man, one in whom is the Spirit of God? Since God has made all this known to you, there is no one so wise as you. You shall be in charge of my palace and all Egypt. Only I will be greater than you." Pharaoh took his signet ring and put it on Joseph's finger. He dressed him in robes of fine linen and put a gold chain around his neck. He had him ride in a chariot as his second in command. Thus Joseph became ruler of all Egypt at age 30. In one day, Joseph went from forgotten prisoner to the second most powerful man in Egypt. The dreams he had as a boy were beginning to come true. God had used slavery, false accusations, and years in prison to prepare Joseph for this moment. Every hardship had shaped him into the man Egypt needed to survive the coming famine. This story teaches us that God's timing is perfect even when we can't see it. Joseph waited 13 years from the pit to the palace, but God was working the entire time. Sometimes God's greatest blessings come after our darkest trials, and delays are not denials but divine appointments.